Ready are you to participate in the process? Well, today on the program, bankers, insurers, and others speak on cash withdrawal limits. Says it will create problems for the unbanked and those without access to payment platforms. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Welcome to the show. All right, journalist Hangout starts now. I hope you're ready. Well, as the People's Democratic Party, PDP, continues to battle the crisis it originated and sustained by itself, Nigerians wait the bated breath for the outcome. In a display of confidence for a lasting resolution, the Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Umar Iliya Damagum, says he is confident that the aggrieved 5 PDP governors led by Nyesom Wike of Rivers State will work for the victory of the party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and others in their various states. At a media parley in Yola, Adamawa State, the Deputy National Chairman said the internal wranglings will not affect its desire to rescue Nigeria from the claws of the All Progressives Congress APC in 2023. Well, let's hear from the man himself.
I want to tell you that the party, they have always said that they are going to work for the party, they are PDP. Recently, that they are doing everything possible to make sure that the party succeeds in every aspect of their state. So we have no cause for alarm. It is an in-house thing and we are going to come over it.
Well, call it whatever you want to call it, confidence, reassurance, or perhaps an irony on the part of who are watching what is happening with the PDP, but the national vice chairman of the party, deputy national chairman, saying, hey, everybody would rally back, but time is running out on the PDP with just 73 days to the elections. Babajide, is Damagum shying away from the reality of what's happening with the PDP at this point in time?
No, you know, politicians are naturally very optimistic people. You see a politician who cannot win an election conducted at his own dining table in his house. Once he steps into the race, they start calling him Excellency. If he is contesting for House of Reps or state legislative seat, they start calling him Honorable. You know, if he's contesting for president, even if he belongs to a backstreet political party, they start calling him Mr. President. And he will be happy to soak in all of those
accolades.
Yes, you know. So the politician will not agree that he will lose an election. He will spend so much money believing that he will win. So I think that people like Damagum believe that this matter can still be resolved. It's good to be optimistic, but the signs of resolution of the crisis are not there. The two main contending groups have dug in. They are not making concessions. IU is not prepared to leave. Atiku is not prepared to sanction an IU resignation. They are not, it's not even going, it's not going through their heads at this time. They are not thinking about that. And the Wike group believes that as long as IU is there, that there's nothing to talk about. There's no peace talk will be accommodated as long as IU remains the chairman. And to make matters worse, a person that Wike believes betrayed him by stepping down for Atiku.
That's Governor Tambuwal.
Yes, was made the DG of the campaign. And remember, Wike described that as picking enemies of Rivers State and putting them in the campaign council. So they pulled out of the campaign council. By pulling out of the campaign council, they sent a clear signal that we don't want to work with you, we don't want to work for you. And you had the governor of your state say, we will not work for Atiku. He was not even waiting for the possibility of a resolution before saying that. So as long as the two groups dig in, it will be foolhardy for anyone to think that a resolution will come. Maybe the Atiku's group believe that without Wike,
they could get some
yes, that they can win the election. So,
okay, well, GKB, let me bring you up on this. It's often said that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Yeah. But in politics, 24 hours is such a long time. A lot of things can change.
It's a lifetime.
I mean, so 73 days to the election. How well is the PDP doing to close the gap amongst its rank, this crack in its ranks that is beginning to look like it's going to affect the party's chances at the polls? How well is the PDP doing with 73 days left to the polls?
I think the main PDP have made up their mind to go to battle with or without the Wike group. Their body language is signaling that they are not willing to make any concession whatsoever. And it's too late in the day for the Wike group, after all the weeks of drama they've given us, to simply buckle under. I understand the fact that some governors have re-election under the party, and some are going to the Senate. And I'm still waiting as an analyst to see how they are going to navigate that treasury place that they are going, because the senatorial campaign, senatorial election is on the same day as the presidential election. So people like Cotton, who's going to the Senate, and they too have to find a way around it. Not to work for Atiku, but work for the party. People like Seyi Makinde, of course, have a different set of problems, because he has 2 weeks to regalvanize his troops for the gubernatorial and state. So I think that's what is happening. Both camps have made up their mind. The Atiku camp have decided they're going ahead, forging ahead, with or without Wike. And the Wike group think that they hold the ace in deciding who the next president of Nigeria will be.
When we look at the 5 governors of the PDP who have taken a stance against the direction the party has headed in the recent months, talking about Governor Wike, Governor Makinde, Governor Autumn of Benue, we saw some clips of what transpired in Makurdi earlier today. What will pacify these governors? And perhaps is the presidential candidate of the PDP even showing signs is ready to make some concessions to bring these 5 governors back into the fold? Are there any indication that there may be any concession in the coming days?
No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think that they are carrying on with their preparations. They think that they can still do well in the election without Wike supporting them. They see Wike as just an individual. But unfortunately for them, the coming of Peter Obi into the race will cause real problems for Atiku, whether he admits it or not. The facts stand out like a midget in a room full of giants. So there's no doubt that he has to work a lot harder with Obi, because Obi's hunting ground remains the main hunting ground of the PDP over the years. Atiku, in previous elections, especially where Buhari contested, lost in northern Nigeria. So he's always...
We'll have a call coming in from Uche from Nnewi. Uche, good evening to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this is Uche calling from Nnewi. Good evening, Babajide.
Okay, Uche, we're struggling to hear you. You may need to speak up a bit more so we can hear you clearly.
I think Wike is taking this too far. I think Wike has a personal problem. These people, the earlier they understand that Wike has his own personal vendetta, the better for them. I think the Wike, once a child is beaten, that child is, should cry. Right. But when you cry, you know when to stop crying. I think
All right, thank you very much. Uche was calling us from Nnewi in Anambra State, saying, the PDP leadership should understand that for Wike to continue harping on these demands, it's very important and it should not be taken lightly. Well, gentlemen, before we move on to our next subject, let's just look at the chances of the PDP from this perspective, from what we have seen of them so far. Do you think the PDP still stands a strong chance of, in its word, rescuing Nigeria from the ruling All Progressives Congress at the polls?
Well, those are sound bites that are normal with opposition parties. But their chances in the south, especially areas where they used to be very strong, is very slim. But that would be a disadvantage going forward. But also it could be an advantage because you now force them to look for new hunting grounds. Because normally PDP will have taken votes from a particular part of the country for granted, that they are not going anywhere, that they have no choice whether they took their slots and give it to another, it doesn't matter. They know they will come back to the table and follow the party. But that's not the case anymore. So this will now force PDP to look elsewhere. Because like Gideon said, the OB factor is going to seriously dilute any mass votes that they're expecting from certain parts of the country. And we all know that. I'm sure the PDP itself, in their quiet times, will go through that and know what is happening. But that may now force them to now look for votes somewhere else. If the election were to hold tomorrow, I would say no. But you and I know that 24 hours is a lifetime.
In politics.
Because as we are saying today, the PDP integrity group, the G5, has spread all over the south. That means they are holding the jugular to vote in 3 zones. Incidentally, the vice president candidate of PDP is also from the south-south. So that will neutralize anything, any advantage they think they have. But the danger here is the fact that if the Wike group does not make a statement in that election, that's their end politically.
Well, of course, there you have the G5 governors who have been in the spotlight, led by Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, who has been the mouthpiece of the demands for the 5 governors. Well, let's see how this pans out. We'll look at it. But VKO, just quickly, this is good for politics. It's good for democracy in Nigeria, you would say.
Yeah, it's good. And one of the clear signs that I see that the Wike group is not willing to make peace is the fact that they criticize their own party at the slightest opportunity. For example, when the PDP, when the presidential campaign criticized the Muslim ticket of APC, Wike fired back to say that what you have done in the PDP is worse than Muslim ticket. That having a zone, a region that has that produced president for 8 years, you know, you still want to contest from that same region. As far as it's concerned, that is even worse than Muslim ticket. So they latch upon every opportunity to show that their party can be trusted, that their party leaders are hypocritical, and they also latch upon every opportunity to show that even the national chairman of the party is corrupt and cannot be trusted at all. So if you want your party to win, to form government at the center, I don't think you go to such, to that length.
So,
to demarket your own party.
It's more like a case of if I can't have it, then nobody else will have it.
No, Wike is not contesting for any position. But
he was an aspirant under the party.
Yes, he is no longer, he is not seeking an election, but it is Ayu that he wants to deal with. And as long as Ayu is still the national chairman, that matter cannot be resolved.
Well, of course, we'll see how this event pan out in the coming days as we count down to the elections. And talking about elections build up in Nigeria, attacks on facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, are gradually becoming a feature in our polity. In yet another attack, hoodlums burnt INEC headquarters in Owerri, Imo State, confirming the incident. The public relations officer of the commission in the state, Chinenye Chijioke Osuji, said the building housing the election and political party monitoring liaison was attacked, as well as part of the main building. Well, let's bring you that report now.
In April 2021, The headquarters of the Nigerian police force and the correctional service were attacked by unknown gunmen unchallenged. But the attack on the headquarters of INEC early hours of Monday came with a different story, as 3 of the attackers were gunned down, 2 captured alive, and different ammunition recovered.
The election must go on.
This show of bravery, Hope Uzodinma, who commended the security agents during an on-the-spot assessment at the INEC office.
Some people who think that they can win elections, yet they don't want elections. How would they then win? INEC does not need this distraction at this point and stage of our elections. INEC should be supported by all and sundry.
Parading the corpses of the neutralized hoodlums, the Imo State Commissioner of Police issued a stern warning that his men are combat ready to decimate the remnants of the hoodlums.
Our men at our NEC office now engage them too, but there were so many. So some of them were now throwing dynamite and petrol bomb into our NEC building. So that was why it caught fire. But because of the firing of my men, they were not able to go with one of their vehicles. So they left the leadership there. So from there, they were now trying to escape. They don't know about our own strategy too. So they now gave them a whole chase. So we are able to neutralize 3, recover 3 AK, and recover 3 pump actions.
They got damaged. Then the media house was also attacked. Then our accounts office was attacked. Then some of our vehicles, you can see the 2 of them here, burnt down, burnt. Then some of them, the glasses broken, the louvre and windscreen broken.
Okay, any PVCs taken, any?
We don't actually keep our PVCs, so I don't know.
Political pundits say continuous touch on INEC facilities by hoodlums across the country may pose serious challenge on the umpire to conduct free, fair and credible elections that will be generally accepted. Prince Oba, TVC News, Owerri.
It's a sad reality, but that's what's been happening as we build up to the elections. Another INEC facility attacked in Southeast Nigeria. It's not just limited to the Southeast for the records, but in recent times, I think the trend is happening more in the Southeast. I think a few weeks ago we had it in Oka, and now it's happening in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Babajide, you had a catalogue of all these events at the last time we discussed this. I would hope we didn't discuss it again prior to the elections, but here we are again.
Last Monday.
This is a worrisome trend, and even the governor of the state is beginning to wonder what do these people hope to achieve with this assault on the electoral umpire?
No, they've targeted Imo State more than any other state. In the last 12 days, 3 attacks in that state alone. And before now, they were clearly ahead of others in terms of the number of attacks on INEC offices. The people carrying out the attacks are the ones who know what they are looking for. But I know that there are some people who do not want election to hold. And they are not limited to the Southeast alone. There are some powerful politicians who don't want election to hold. Maybe because they think that their candidate is not likely to win. We've been in this situation before where politicians, when they lose election, they go to invite the military to come and take over. There's hardly any military incursion into our politics that politicians didn't have a hand in.
They instigate.
In fact, you could say that during the Second Republic, we had both the military wing of the MPN and the military wing of the PDP, of the UPN. So you see them calling for a coup, making all kinds of noise just because their own candidate did not win, and they follow that up by offering incentives to even the military. You heard what the CDS said the other day, that soldiers or the armed forces are coming under pressure from politicians, but that they are not going to
bow to the pressure.
Yes, they are not going to compromise on their role, which is to remain apolitical, to remain neutral in the scheme of things. So if, as I said last week, it's easy to say, oh, this whole thing is limited to the Southeast. Oh, this whole thing is because IPOB does not want election except a referendum takes place. And you all know, or we all know, that at least there is no provision for a referendum in the Nigerian Constitution. So where the matter of referendum came from, I wish I understand. But there are anti-democratic forces outside of the Southeast that this agenda sits well with them. This agenda fits into their own inordinate desire to see that the democratic process is truncated so that the military can then be invited to take power. But they need to be careful. You can't plunge a country into chaos, into bloodshed, into violent combustions, because you can see clearly that your favored candidate will not win the election. It is not about you, it is about the people. It's about the people. The people will decide who becomes the president of our country.
Well, let's look at those images coming from the headquarters of Imo. In fact, some personal vehicles of the staff were also affected in the attack. So a lot of personal losses here. GKB, I mean, this trend has been happening for a while. Political parties or individuals have come out to condemn it. But let's talk about the security agencies. How much of an arrest are they making to ensure that this thing is being nipped in the bud? It appears that even the security agencies are helpless in addressing these issues. We haven't seen any kind of arrest or prosecution or perhaps a convict made from these attacks.
Well, I'm sure you can see from the clip that they got some of them arrested. They were dragged down, and you can see them. That to me is a breakthrough, because all over the world, when there is hit and run, terrorist attacks, I don't get anybody that you are walking in the dark. But with these people, no matter how low level they are, they can provide intelligence. And I'm sure that this will lead to answering Gide's question on why. Because a lot of low-level terrorists may just be doing it for some altruistic reasons. They don't know the real strategy going up at the top. They may just be fighting for, like you said, referendum or freedom. It's those at the top who know the bigger picture of what they want to achieve by ensuring that facilities of the empire are destroyed before the election. So I think it's a good start, because the last time they got away, nobody was arrested. But this time, I think 2 or 3 people were arrested. I'm sure they will provide, no matter how minimal the intelligence is, to be a start. Because you can isolate them, know where they are coming from, know those they move with, and you can now see whether it's just one cell or part of a larger group. But like we know, people are still going to keep trying this to stop the elections, even till the day of the election. It's the job of the security personnel to make sure and decide they are correct. Because a lot of people who you and I will think are Democrats, the way they talk nowadays, based on the fact that they know the candidate they are supporting is not likely to win, it gives room for fear. Because people who think are Democrats will now be telling you that Nigerians are some abusive words. Because, and I keep telling them, democracy is about the majority. You can have your say, but the majority will always have their way.
All right, Jide,
except to rig the election.
Except to rig we spoke about the impact of this on the elections on the long run. But on the short term, do you think perhaps this would heighten the tension in the build-up to the elections? And we know that certainly, as the days get closer, people become more agitated.
Certainly, you don't even need to end the question. If they can be this daring, if they can be this destructive in the days leading to the election, what would then happen on election day? What will happen on election day? So people will be scared, especially in the Southeast, where there is so much lawlessness. Today, some people get up to say, no, sit in your homes. and those who try to dare them get slaughtered. So people will ask themselves whether it makes sense to go and risk their lives casting their ballots when they are not sure they will return home in one piece. So many people would think twice about voting in these elections, especially in the Southeast. And that will reduce the vote tally from that end. It certainly will reduce the vote tally. You are likely to see a huge turnout in areas where people are guaranteed of their safety. If people are not guaranteed of their safety, they'll tell their children to stay at home. Adults too will stay at home. Look at Osita Iheme. Look at his brother that was slaughtered because of a sit-at-home order. Cultists are giving directives that people should sit at home, when even IPOB that instituted it in the first place has told us, look, sit at home, will only be on days that Nnamdi Kanu is brought to court. Yeah. But every Monday now, people can't go to work.
Have now turned into a tradition.
Yes, other people, you know, somebody was suggesting that there could be more than even 20 groups.
Yeah, everybody with their territory.
You know, now, enforcing this thing. So you don't know who to obey. If a man powerful gives instruction, and a man powerful is far away outside our country, and some people within Nigeria give a contrary opinion, you then ask yourself, who do you believe? And if you take that risk, it could cost you your life, because even on those days, you don't see policemen around. They too will observe the sit-at-home
for their own.
So who will come to your rescue?
Well, it's a worrisome trend. But GKB, just before we go on a quick break, just your thoughts. Do you think perhaps this could force a shift in the election date for INEC? Because it's a lot of attack. Most of their facilities, major ones, are being attacked. Would this give INEC a reason to at least shift the election date back a little to accommodate time for to make up for all these losses?
I don't think so. Just last week, INEC came out and reaffirmed their commitment to holding the elections. Sometimes the very fact that the umpire is willing to risk life and limb gives confidence to some people that it will still hold. And I will not be a naysayer to tell you here that it will not hold. What I pray for is that the Nigerian military and the Nigerian police will give enough manpower to cover the elections so that people can come out. Because we've been doing this for 23 years. This is not the time to chicken out.
Okay. All right, this is not the time to chicken out. And of course, on this platform, we are all encouraging the security agencies to beef up security around INEC offices across the nation. And of course, to also encourage the voters to remain calm and continue to be hopeful that the elections will go smooth, free, and fair. We also want to appeal to the political parties to persuade and urge their supporters to exercise caution at this time as we together look forward to the general elections come 2023. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be back with more after the break. Stay with us.
Only God can do this. It's a wonder working God. Only God can do this.
Praise the Lord. Chosen is 20 years this year, and by the special grace of God, the counsel of the Lord stands forever. It is written, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And what God has determined shall be done. I want to let you know that this is the 20 years of existence of the Lord Chosen. So come, let us give thanksgiving to the Lord. Let us appreciate him. Let us praise him for what he has done. For no one can do this. Only God can do what we have seen. To him be the glory. I invite you to come on Sunday, 18th of December. Come with all your friends. There is going to be plenty of blessings, spiritually and otherwise. May God bless you.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the introduction of a new series of 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes to be launched on December 15, 2022. These new banknotes will circulate side by side with the current 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1000 naira banknote, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023. Banks are now open from Monday to Saturday to accept customers' deposits. So, hurry to your banks to deposit only 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1000 naira banknotes in your possession. To make it seamless, the CBN has suspended bank charges on all deposits made during this period, and there is no limit on how much an individual can deposit. Remember, the current 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1000 naira banknotes remain legal tender until January 31, 2023. Do not reject it, but ensure the banknotes get to your bank before the deadline of January 31, 2023. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade. Transit into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay in installments of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
President Muhammadu Buhari administration also assented to a very important legislation which has defied several administrations before 2015, and that is the anti-piracy bill, which was a big relief to the maritime community all over the world and other stakeholders, especially in the Gulf of Guinea and the West and Central Africa maritime region. The legislation is aimed at preventing and suppressing piracy, armed robbery, and any other unlawful act against a ship, aircraft, and any other maritime craft, including fixed and floating platforms. The act, otherwise known as the SPOMO Act, has opened the doorway for the administration of justice for piracy and other maritime offenses in the country.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's journalist Hangout on TVC News. We've been looking at trending topical issues in the Nigerian socio-economic system. Well, let's talk some economy now. As bankers and insurance and other financial bodies under the umbrella of the Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance and other financial institutions have given conditional support to the new cash withdrawal limit proposed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. They said there are pros and cons in the new monetary policy. The president of the association, Olusoju Oluwole, acknowledged that the policy will reduce robbery attacks on bank customers, but will create problems for the unbanked and those without access to payment platforms. Well, when this memo was issued by the CBN last week, a lot of people thought, what was this? The highlight of this policy is the reduced number of withdrawals allowed on individual and corporate accounts to 100,000 for individuals and 500 for corporate accounts. The maximum you could withdraw on ATM per day was reduced to 20,000, even on POS machines. And the fact that even lesser denominations will now be available in the machines rather than high notes like 1,500. The CBN has come to say it is putting these measures in place as part of its cashless policy drive. Babajide, is this coming at the wrong time, or is this extreme, or perhaps you're looking at this from a different point of view?
I've been against this from the day the CBN governor, the CBN made the announcement. I am not a banker, but I don't have to be a banker to know the pain that this will inflict on our people. Some people imagine that because they are in power and in government, that they are all-knowing, and that whatever policy they come up with, whether it makes sense or not, we just have to accept it. But we've seen them come up with policy after policy that have failed to achieve anything meaningful. And the CBN governor, this current CBN governor, is an example of such government officials. How many of the policies that he has come up with can stand the real test of critical scrutiny? How many? Not even the anchor borrowers program that they make so much noise about. To see pyramids. The other day we woke up to see pyramids emerge from nowhere. Pyramids of rice bags. But today, rice gets sold for as high as 48 to 50,000.
55,000.
I'm not even saying 55, but I know that between 48 and 50,000. So, what is the essence of the anchor borrowers program if it cannot drive down prices
of rice?
Any policy at all that is meant to stimulate growth, that in agricultural production, the main goal, the end game, is to see prices go down, is to see the people able to buy their goods, able to pay for goods and services at competitive prices. If you come up with a policy that is not able to achieve that, you must own up that you have failed.
Totally.
Up there in the north, this local rice is called gumi. And they can't understand why gumi, what the Sokoto man will call gumi, of all things, will be this expensive, despite the humongous sum of money that we have sunk into the anchor borrowers program, whether it is for growing cassava or for growing rice, whatever it is. Rice is a key
commodity
that we want to see the price go down. That has failed. That has failed. The prices show us, the prices at which people are buying rice, whether in Bali, in Taraba, or in Lagos, or in Kebbi. Talking about local rice, the prices at which our people are buying it show clearly that the CBN's anchor borrowers program has not achieved the aim. No one can convince me that the aim was not, because what is the point in stimulating production if prices can come down? Well, yes, when you see an uptick in production, you expect to see prices also go down for the product or the produce. For the commodity to be more accessible to our people.
To the surplus.
You know? So this is the thing. I was talking about rice. Now, talking about this policy, the CBN wants us to believe that, it believes in financial inclusion. The whole goal of the cashless policy was to deepen financial inclusion. That was what they told us back then. But what have we seen? You want money agents, popularly known as POS operators in our country, because we always create a name.
Which way the name comfortable with our own.
Yes, we create, but they are known as money agents and all that. You want them to be able to withdraw only 20,000 from people's accounts in a day. Whereas when you go to the rural areas where there are no banks, first and foremost, there are so many of our people who do not have bank accounts. Some of them are illiterate. Some of them do not even have enough money to pay what is required to open an account. But the bulk of businesses that stimulate growth are happening in those rural areas, not in the urban centers.
Yeah, those in the informal sector.
Agriculture contributes a huge portion of our GDP. The bulk of agriculture happens in those rural areas, not in the urban centers. So, and these people like to transact their businesses without using any form of card payment.
Without any form of interference.
So what we are saying, we are not saying, look, this policy is bad, because some people will misunderstand me now to say the policy is bad. No, one is not saying that. We are looking at the timing. It's not something that you can simply dump on us and say, look, we have to start. What are we talking about? I was in Ilorin yesterday. I wanted to buy Pringles for my children. At the airport, where you should expect at least I should be able to use my card.
Yeah.
They told me no, that network, there has not been network today. I was forced to use the cash that I had. That's Ilorin, state capital. Ilorin today qualifies as one of the oldest states in Nigeria. It's not a new state. It's not in the class of Ekiti and others. I don't know which state you are from. But I experienced that at the airport. In many places, even here in Lagos, sometimes you want to use your card. There's no network. Go to Mega Chicken, where many people here in Lagos go to fill their bellies. Go there, you see boldly written on their, behind those guys selling food, they tell you, keep your cash. Keep your cash, because there's no guarantee.
A precaution.
So if you see, you have to take care of the infrastructure needs. That's power, telecommunication. You've not addressed that sufficiently, and you think this thing will just work. That means you are living in a different country.
Okay, all right. TBK, let me allow you to catch your breath a bit and bring GKB into the conversation. GKB has highlighted two of the major challenges. First, the technologies may not be sufficient to accommodate the number of Nigerians they want to bring in. And thirdly, that this may not be the right time to implement these drastic changes. But the CBN has highlighted some of the benefits. They said it would enhance security, that people who are paying for ransom will no longer be seeing it as an attractive venture. It will curb inflation. They've also said it would also help in addressing the exchange rate value. More importantly, will also reduce corruption in the system and, of course, take down the threat of fraud on bank accounts. Do you think perhaps the pros outweighs the cons this time? Talking about, do you think the benefits outweighs the challenges that we may face?
I cannot really, for the life of me, believe all those that they tell us, for two reasons. I know, because I know they copied this from somewhere. In some countries, ATM will not give you beyond $20. In some countries, more than £20. If I remember the day I brought out £50 in a London restaurant, they have to call the police. I understand that part. But those countries have a cap on the cost of food. They have a cap. You know exactly how much you pay for food. Until the Russian war, you can guess how much you need to spend on food every month in some countries, because the price is constant. Inflation is very small. Are you telling me that is the amount we bought rice last year, December, that we are buying rice today? I'm talking about countries that have done excess production, that they give out the excess to other countries. Have we reached that point where we have the food and the price at such an equilibrium that Nigeria can afford to give it out to the Republic of Benin or to Togo, wherever they want to? Yet we are buying a bag of rice for 55,000. Let people come back home. In Okeari, in all those women, at Balogun, at Oshodi, at Mushin, they transfer business in the millions. This is their peak season, December. Because, because normally somebody will go out and come and say, how much did you make today? Say, the average of about 700,000. That's the money he or she made today. Because this is the peak period for those in those markets. How do you want him to transfer business of 700,000 when the cap is, what's that amount again?
500,000 for business accounts, 100,000 for individual accounts.
How's he going to do it? Because they're talking about making 700,000 every day. And tomorrow they have to take back that money back to the Kora to buy more lace so they can sell tomorrow and make more money. How does that work? That's number one. Number two, majority of our people are in the rural areas. They have no idea what it's about. On radio, I call this one a policy for the city dwellers. Because once you are moving out of Lagos, Ibadan, Ilorin, this will be strange to them. Because exactly what you want them to do with this law. Number three, most critical. Even when you are transferring using POS or whatever you use, I know because my wife is a trader that sometimes the alert will show, but there's no money in the account.
Fake alert, dummy alert.
You know what I mean? That you are expecting somebody who is busy, selling something close to £1 million. I said, okay, let me pay you through this. It's 200,000. I said, okay, I've seen the alert. Give him or her the clothes. And 2 hours later, well, how much money do you think they will lose?
All right, GKB will come to you to talk about where should we go forward and perhaps help the CBN fine-tune this policy. We hear that the National Assembly is also reviewing the policy.
Seriously?
And they've invited the CBN to come and discuss with them while urging them to stay execution, so to say, at this point. Let's go on a quick break. Journalist Hangout will continue as we look at the impact of the CBN's decision on Nigeria's larger economy. We'll be back after this break.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita?
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the introduction of a new series of 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes to be launched on December 15, 2022. These new banknotes will circulate side by side with the current 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023. Banks are now open from Monday to Saturday to accept customers' deposits. So, hurry to your banks to deposit only 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes in your possession. To make it seamless, the CBN has suspended bank charges on all deposits made during this period, and there is no limit on how much an individual can deposit. Remember, the current 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes remain legal tender until January 31, 2023. Do not reject it, but ensure the banknotes get to your bank before the deadline of January 31, 2023. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade, transit into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay in installments of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
Well, welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangout. We're heading towards the home stretch on today's episode of the program, but we're still looking at the economy and the impact or the implication or perhaps reactions to the CBN's policy, the new monetary policy by the CBN saying it is reducing cash transaction as part of measures to buckle up the cashless policy. BKO, we've talked about the challenges. We've talked about the fact that technology may not be sustainable. Not many Nigerians are bankable. Of course, the CBN has said it is putting measures in place to ensure that. But let's talk about the citizens. Are there action the citizens need to also take note in how we handle our currency, and also the role of how we can help the economy stabilize or control inflation? Because we've seen cases of people stockpiling money in their house for no reason. I mean, during this current ongoing process, we've seen people bring out bags and baggages of naira stocked in the house, for whatever reasons. Are there certain things the citizens should also be mindful of, even as we call the CBN to review this policy in the interest of many Nigerians?
Well, there are many people who do not believe that they should use the banks for cultural and religious reasons. We now have Islamic banks for those who don't want any form of interest on their money and all that, because they see that as similar to gambling, you know. So people can be encouraged to keep their money in the banks. But there are people who transact business on their feet. They don't wait. And these people do business in billions of naira. If you've lived in Kano before, you go to Singa Market, Kantenkori, you see people employed simply to count money. Able-bodied men, that's all they do throughout the day, just count money. Because these guys are transacting business in cash, just like that. And people come from as far as Central African Republic to buy textile materials and all that. Such people, what we are saying is, this thing has to be done gradually. You don't just wake up one day and say, no. Even in South Korea, when they wanted to transit from cash to cashless, they had to create incentives. They got the merchants together and told them, look, if you resort to card payment, we will make sure that VAT on your business, on your pieces of business that you do, we waive them. Some tax exemptions, you know, those ones now became the people who now became champions of cashless transactions, and now we're talking directly to the ordinary people because they were making money. Government created incentives for them to be able to embrace cashless economy or cashless transactions. Today, South Korea is the second highest when it comes to card payment.
Okay.
I mean, relative to the population, after the US, South Korea is second in the world because they consciously prepared for it, created incentives, and took banking to the doorstep of people. Today, many of the banks in the rural areas are no longer there. So you want everybody to have a card, because without it, you can barely survive under this regime, under what this man is planning. If you don't have bank accounts, you can't operate. Okay. So those who sit in the urban centers and are thinking, this thing can work, they don't give a hoot about those in the very distant rural areas in our country. You are not more Nigerian than those people. Some of them work harder than the people in the cities who have access to money that they can steal from their companies, from the national team. Yes.
Vike, I mean, if we allow you to go deeper into this, you will definitely provide more insight and perspective to the conversation. But we're pressed for time, we have to go. GKB, let me have your final take on this. The CBN governor, Governor Emefiele, has been in charge of the CBN for about 8 years now. Yeah. Why are these policies coming at what many may call the tail end of his tenure as the governor of the bank? Is there perhaps a need for the CBN governor to redeem the time or perhaps redeem his image as the CBN governor? Is there certain idea or initiative behind this reforms we're seeing from the CBN?
Well, you and I know that mortality is a leveler. The man is looking at the end of his tenure and he's looking back. I could not see anything of value that he has added in relative terms to the normal people of Nigeria. When he came in, I think the Naira was 198 or 200 and something to the dollar. Now we are knocking on the door of 1,000 Naira to the dollar. That's not a very good take home for anybody who is the prime banker.
That is a blot on a CV.
So what about is doing now is basically a knee-jerk approach to create a legacy. And I can tell you this is not going to work.
All right. Let's leave it at that. Let's see how it pans out. The CBN says it will be effective from January 2023, perhaps also tailored in line to influence the general elections. But we'll see how that pans out. Well, that's all for Journalist Hangout on today's episode. Join us for another episode of the program tomorrow. You can watch a repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11 p.m. More importantly, join us on Sundays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. A big thank you to my guest analysts, Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogo. My name is Emmanuel Akindebua. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, StarTimes is taking us to a better level. You can step up your family entertainment with the StarTimes upgrade promo. You recharge 2 months on Nova Bouquet and get upgraded to Basic or Smart Bouquet. Recharge 2 months on Basic or Smart Bouquet, you get upgraded to Classic or Super Bouquet. And if you recharge 2 months on Classic or Super Bouquet, you get 10 days free on your subscription. This upgrade automatically qualifies you for a weekly draw to win 55-inch Smart TV, PA systems, home appliances, and more. These prizes are proudly sponsored by Longreach, Wayon, and Amaz. This promo is from the 15th November to 15th January 2023. Terms and conditions apply. On StarTimes, every day is the best day ever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. StarTimes. Entertain your family.
When you think of a university, you think of a place where you will go to cut out your future. And when you get there, you realize there's a lot more to it. The beautiful structures, facilities, and ambience. A place where you meet great minds, experience different cultures, and master the art of fundamental problem solving. Be part of a whole different study experience with Kampala International University, KIU, exploring the heights.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Introducing the new Pressure King Pro from ShopX TV. The amazing 14-in-1 digital pressure cooker that saves you time and money. Want to cook proper meals but can hardly find the time? We all have busy schedules, but hurried lifestyles means meals on the run, maybe even whole weeks with too much processed or fast foods. The amazing ShopX 14-in-1 digital pressure cooker cooks up to 90% faster than conventional appliances. And because it cooks so much faster, you're not just saving time, but saving money too. Cooking a whole chicken in the Pressure King Pro could use up to 6 times less electricity than the average oven, saving you time and cash. This delicious chicken pepper soup could take 1 hour in conventional cookware, but with the Pressure King Pro, you'll cook it in just 15 minutes. This mouth-watering jollof rice is cooked in just 10 minutes in the Pressure King Pro, so you really can make fresh traditional meals for your family with ease. This delicious mixed bean porridge was made with fresh ingredients in just 30 minutes. Now that is fast food. Pressure King Pro is the one-pot solution that cooks hundreds of different healthy meals and does the job of so many different appliances. It's a pressure cooker, slow cooker, rice cooker, and a steamer all rolled into one. And with its digital control, you don't even need to be a chef to make exciting meals. You can even saute with no need for pots and pans on your gas cooker. It's perfect for browning meat and vegetables. Just press the button and walk away for perfect meals every single time. From jollof rice, goat mitasu, scrumptious side dishes, lamb chops, roasted chicken, the Pressure King Pro does the hard work for you to take the pressure out of meal times. You just set it and walk away.
The Pressure King Pro is God sent, and my family loves every meal I prepare with it. It is a one-pot wonder that makes cooking so easy. Now, I can prepare fresh meals for my family in minutes.
I love my Pressure King Pro. It's a life-changing product that has saved me so much time. My favorite thing about it is so easy, it's quick, the food that comes out of it, delicious, and it feeds the entire family. My mother-in-law can't believe how good my food tastes.
You could be paying over 350,000 naira for a complicated collection of cookware that takes time to cook and also takes up so much space on your countertop. But for a limited time only, call the number on your screen now and get the multi-function Pressure King Pro for just 94,950 naira. But wait, that's not all. Call now and we will deliver the ShopX Pressure King Pro straight to your door with no delivery charge. So call now while stocks last. The preceding was a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers mean